When you watch Demolition Man, you expect a wild 90s action movie. Explosions, one-liners, and Sylvester Stallone doing what he does best, being the ultimate tough guy. But what you don't expect is how eerily familiar the movie's future feels. Released in 1993, Demolition Man imagines the year 2032 as a peaceful, perfectly controlled society. There's no crime, no junk food, no swearing, no sex, and definitely no fun. The streets are spotless. Everyone is polite. And the worst punishment you can get is a fine for using bad language. It was meant as a joke, a parody of political correctness and moral obsession. But 3 decades later, it doesn't seem that far off. We may not have cryogenic prisons, or the bathroom equivalent of quantum physics, the 3 seashells, but the movie's world of constant surveillance, social control, and technology-driven convenience looks a lot like ours. Watching it now feels less like science fiction and more like a preview of the world we've quietly built. In the film, Stallone plays John Spartan, a cop known for his reckless heroics in the chaotic Los Angeles of the 1990s. After capturing a dangerous criminal, Simon Phoenix, played by Wesley Snipes, both men end up frozen in a cryo prison. When Phoenix is accidentally released in the distant future, Spartan is thawed out to catch him, but the future he wakes up to isn't one he recognizes. This new society, San Angeles, is crime-free, clean, and absurdly polite. Every form of risk, passion, or offense has been scrubbed out of daily life. People don't shake hands, they don't curse, they don't eat meat, and even sex happens through virtual reality headsets, because physical contact is considered unhygienic. It's both hilarious and unsettling. A world so sanitized that has lost its humanity. Back in 1993, the movie's tone was exaggerated for laughs, but in 2025, it hits differently. So much of what once seemed ridiculous, government oversight, speech policing, corporate control, now feels oddly real. The film's utopia looks suspiciously like the modern world we scroll through every day. One of the movie's running gags is that every time someone curses, a mechanical voice announces a verbal morality violation.
You're a damn good flyer.
You are fined 2 credits for a violation of the verbal morality statute.
Thanks a lot, you.
And spits out a fine. It's meant to be absurd, but it captures something that's become very real. The feeling that we're always being watched. In our world, that surveillance isn't run by a government. It's built into our technology. Our phones track us. Our apps listen. Our smart devices quietly gather data about what we say, buy, and do. Even our conversations happen on platforms that are monitored, recorded, and monetized. Then there's a social side of surveillance. We may not have verbal morality tickets, but we have social media outrage. Say the wrong thing online, and you can lose your job, your followers, or even your friends. It's not exactly government censorship, it's cultural enforcement. People self-censor, choosing safe opinions and polite phrases, just like the citizens of San Angeles. Demolition Man exaggerated this for comedy, but it tapped into something real. When we're constantly being observed, we start to behave like we're in a public performance. We edit ourselves. We stop being fully human. One of the weirdest and funniest parts of Demolition Man is how dependent people are on technology. Machines do everything for them: cook, clean, drive, even mediate their relationships.
I don't know. Lately, I just don't feel like there's anything special about me.
You are an incredibly sensitive man who inspires joy feelings in all those around you.
The people of 2032 are safe and comfortable, but they've forgotten how to handle anything difficult or unpredictable. That might sound familiar. In our world, we've built entire systems to make life easier. Food delivery, AI assistance, dating apps, self-driving cars. Everything is designed for convenience. And while that's not a bad thing, it has side effects. We're losing patience, resilience, and sometimes the messy human skills that come from doing things the hard way. The movie's VR sex scene feels like an absurd joke. But after a few years of pandemic lockdowns and Zoom everything, it doesn't seem so far-fetched. We already live in a world where physical distance is normal and digital intimacy is standard. We've learned to substitute touch with technology, and in doing so, we risk forgetting why connection matters. The citizens of Demolition Man are polite to a fault. They say cheerful greetings like "be well," and avoid every form of conflict.
Have a peachy day, Lieutenant. Be well.
Be well.
On the surface, that sounds lovely. Who wouldn't want a world without hate, anger, or offense? But in the movie, it's clear that this politeness is enforced. People aren't kind because they want to be. They're kind because they're afraid not to be. This exaggerated niceness mirrors a tension we feel today. Modern culture values empathy and inclusion, both important, but also increasingly equates politeness with morality. Online, the pressure to be good can turn into a performance. People are terrified of being labeled offensive, problematic, or even toxic. When every disagreement becomes a moral battle, conversation stops. We end up with a world full of shallow smiles and quiet resentment, polite on the surface, but divided underneath. Demolition Man saw this coming, a society so desperate to avoid offense that it erases individuality. John Spartan, the movie's blunt, imperfect hero, represents the opposite. He's messy, impulsive, and emotional. All the things society has trained out of people. And that's exactly why he's needed. The movie reminds us that chaos, conflict, and imperfection aren't signs of failure. They're what make us alive. One of the film's funniest running jokes is that Taco Bell won the franchise wars and is now the only restaurant left. It's silly, but also nails the way consumer culture was heading, and still is. Today, a handful of giant corporations control almost everything we consume. We stream shows on the same few platforms, shop through the same online stores, and live through the same social media apps. These companies promise choice and connection, but the reality is kind of a corporate sameness. We've traded individuality for convenience. Like the citizens of San Angeles, we live in a world designed for comfort, and in exchange, we accept subtle control. The products we buy, the news we see, even the ideas we share are filtered through systems built not for truth, but for engagement. When everything looks and feels the same, freedom starts to look like a brand instead of a principle. That's exactly the kind of irony Demolition Man warned us about. To be fair, the society in Demolition Man isn't all bad. There's no war, no poverty, no pollution. People are safe and healthy. If you squint, it looks like paradise. But what makes the movie's message so powerful, it reminds us that even the best intentions can go too far. Safety, order, and kindness are good things, but when they're pursued without balance, they can smother freedom and authenticity. In one of the movie's final scenes, Spartan tells the citizens they need to find a middle ground. You gotta work a little dirty to get clean. In other words, a healthy society needs both order and chaos, control and spontaneity. Perfection isn't peace, it's paralysis.
Slogans, it'll be a blast.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm gonna tell you what you're gonna do. Why don't you get a little dirty? You will like clean. And somewhere in the middle, I don't know, you'll figure it out.
And that's what makes Demolition Man so relevant today. Our world is safer, cleaner, and more connected than ever, but also more anxious, cautious, and controlled. In trying to eliminate risk, we've started to eliminate the parts of life that make it meaningful. Are we living in Demolition Man's world? Not entirely. We still have art, rebellion, humor, and real human messiness. But the film's exaggerated future is close enough to our present that it feels like a warning we should probably take seriously. The irony is that aspects of Demolition Man's world were supposed to make us laugh, and they still do, but now that laughter has a nervous edge. We can see too much of ourselves in its shiny, over-polished world. Maybe that's the real brilliance of the movie. It exaggerates just enough to make us think. It reminds us that a society obsessed with perfection will always find new ways to punish imperfection, and that the most human thing we can do is resist the urge to be flawless. Because if Demolition Man teaches us anything, it's this: we don't need a future where everything works perfectly. We need one where people still make mistakes, break rules, and say what they actually mean.
I think I'm gonna like the future.
Now that you've demolished everything.
But there's just one thing I want to know. How's that damn 3 seashell thing work?
What I wouldn't give for some action.
Buckle up.